Welcome to the session on Foundation of Advertising, the Key Players. Advertisement plays very important role in today's scenario. Advertisement is an effective and efficient technique to promote goods, services and ideas. It is a paid form of non-personal communication wherein business information is made available for potential customers. Advertisement is derived from the Latin word adverter, which literally means to turn the minds towards. Through advertisement mechanism, advertisers try to turn minds of people towards particular goods or services. Friends, advertisement promotes and supplements selling of products, services and ideas to a great extent. The most interesting part of an advertisement is it carries factual information with fascinating emotional appeal. Hence, without a proper advertisement, no business can prosper. Understanding the process of advertisement is keen importance. The key players in advertising plays important role in the success of the advertisements. The advertiser, media, advertising agency, vendors and the target audience, regulatory bodies play very important role in the success of advertising mechanism. This session will focus upon these key players of advertising. Now let's see the objectives of the session. The objectives of the session are to make you understand the key players in advertising, to make you aware about the role of advertiser and media in advertising, to explain the advertising agency as a key player, to explain the role of vendors and target audience in advertising, and to make you understand the role of regulatory bodies in Indian context. Let us understand the word advertising. Friends, making ad is an important task which involves long set of processes. The advertisements that we see in the newspapers, magazines and roadside hoardings or watch on television or on the internet involves a lot of work. An advertisement goes through different stages from its initial planning stage to its execution. In addition, it also involves group of people specialized in different fields. For example, experts of management, copy editing, creative writing, photography, videography, acting and so on. Developing an advertising program starts with identifying the target group and the buyer motives. Then the objectives have to set mission, that is advertising objectives. It has to set money, that is advertising budget, message, that is to be communicated, media, that is the medium of communication to be used either offline, online or both, and measurement, that is how to evaluate the results. Thus, advertising is a complex process involving many steps. Friends, let's now understand key players of advertising processes. The key players in advertising includes advertiser, media, advertising agency, vendors, target audience. Regulatory body also plays very important role in advertising. Let's understand in detail. First is advertiser. Friends, advertising begins with advertiser. An advertiser is a person, group or organization that disseminates messages about a particular brand to build preferences towards the brand or to generate brand awareness among the people. Advertiser is the person or an organization that initiates the advertising process. Advertisers decide the target audience, media, advertising budget, and length of campaign. The advertiser initiates the advertising efforts by identifying a market problem that advertising can solve. He takes into consideration cost effectiveness and the medium used may be online or offline or a combination of both. Second is advertising agency. According to American Association of Advertising Agencies, an advertising agency is an independent organization of creative people and business people who specialize in developing and preparing marketing and advertising plans, advertisements, and other promotional tools. Agencies also purchase advertising space and time in various media on behalf of different advertisers to find customers for their goods and services. Friends, an advertising agency is a kind of service organization that is committed to planning, creating, designing, and executing advertising for its clients. An advertising agency is a separate and independent organization that is free from its clients. It is not owned by advertisers, suppliers, media, or client organizations. As a result of its independent status outside the organization, it is not influenced by any of them and is able to provide a number of services to the clients. The services include advice on marketing and branding strategies, handling their sales promotional activities, and may also work as an external advisor to the selling of the products or services. The features and tasks of an advertising agency shall be clear from the few definitions of advertising agency. An ad agency may be an internal department or agency that provides an outside point of view to the efforts of selling the client's products or services, or an outside firm. An agency can also handle overall marketing and branding strategies promotions for its clients, which may include sales as well. Friends, different agencies render different services which involve creation of new promotional ideas, designing of print, radio, television and internet advertisements, booking advertisement space and time, planning and conducting advertising campaigns, commissioning research and surveys, and providing other such services that help a client in entering and succeeding in a chosen market. This image is showing you the factors to be kept in mind while selecting an ad agency. Now let us see features of advertising agencies. It is an independent organization. It comprises of creative people. It assists the client organizations in developing marketing plans. It prepares advertisements for the clients. It designs and executes various promotional tools for the clients. It helps in acquiring advertising space and time for the clients in various advertising medias conveniently and economically. It helps creating demand for the products and services of the clients. It does not have a commercial use alone, but it also helps in developing public relations for the client organizations. The different features give clear indication to the rationale behind hiring of advertising agencies by so many advertisers. Such agencies focus on seeking and retaining consumer attention, enhance brand visibility and acceptability for products and services advertised, and bring business for the advertiser's organization. Advertising agencies have clients. The usual way an agency gets work is through a pitch. A pitch is an audition, with the client giving a brief to a number of advertising agencies and choosing the one that best resolves the brief. Of course, it doesn't always work that way, but for the most part, this is how agencies are paired with clients. After this, contracts are signed and the real work begins. Depending on the type of agency and client, the scope of works will vary greatly. But in a nutshell, the agency agrees to produce a certain amount of work for a set amount of money, that is, be it a retainer, hourly or other agreement. And the client agrees to pay the agency upon the receipt of the work. That is as basic as it gets, but it's the most simple explanation. Many a times, the client is there to present the agency with its problems and when it needs solution. The type of problems and solutions vary greatly depending on the client's business and the ad agency's area of expertise. How this is done is different from agency to agency, but the basic steps are more or less the same. Third is vendors. The next key player includes vendors. Vendors are freelancers, consultants and self-employed professionals. They provide a variety of services like copywriters, jingle writers, photographers and market researchers and so on. The advertiser may not have expertise in their area, they may be overloaded or they may want a fresh perspective. Vendors are thus necessary because no agency can afford to have all the facilities on permanent basis. Vendor services are comparatively cheaper than permanent in-house facility. Vendors provide the services as per requirement basis. Fourth is the target audience. Friends, all the advertisement starts with the identification of the customer or prospective customer, the desired audience for the advertising message. The character of the target audience have a direct bearing on the overall advertising strategy. Purchasers are not always the product users. For example, in case of baby products, parents purchases and kids use it. Kellogg's must actually have two target audience for their products. They design one ad for the kids target audience and another for the parents target audience. Identifying the key target audience is very important because the advertisements will be totally based upon the same. Advertising is designed as per the target audience in a way that it creates awareness, stimulates loyalty to the company or create a favorable attitude towards a product. Even though advertising may not directly precipitate a purchase decision, advertising programs must be held accountable and managers are facing increased pressure to demonstrate the actual returns on marketing expenditures. Thus, the target audience identification and proper focus while preparing advertisement is very crucial for firm. Now, let us understand regulations in advertising. Friends, regulations play a major role in advertising decision making process. In the complex environment of local, state and federal rules and regulations, most of the advertising and business sponsored associations, consumer groups and organizations and the media produces and places honest, truthful and tasteful advertising through their own self-regulation and guidelines. The legal and regulatory aspects of advertising are very complex. Often, the nature and content of advertisements and its potential to offend, exploit, mislead, and deceive consumers is of major concern to many advertisers. Friends, advertisements that can lead to consumer injuries are also under regulatory concerns. In many cases, the courts have been willing to consider the impact of advertising on behavior of consumer that leads to injury causing situation. Therefore, the question of regulation of advertising is of the utmost importance. Friends, most of the countries have framed laws and other forms of regulations for advertising. Laws promulgated by governments contain specifications such as the exclusion of cigarette advertising from television. In nearly 60% of the total major advertising countries, advertising people have to go for the government clearance, especially in case of health related products, that is OTC drugs, medicated tablets and cosmetics and so on. For example, in Canada and Mexico, clearance is required for food and drink advertisements also. Friends, regulations in advertising are complex and so important for advertisers. Advertisers cannot advertise without taking approvals from authorities. Even after approval from other major networks, your commercial is still subject to scrutiny from such state and federal regulatory agencies. After considering all these regulatory issues, you will have to ask to yourself whether new ad meet all the expectations and challenges. Regulatory concerns thus plays vital role for advertisers. The Indian advertising market as a whole is regulated and controlled by a non-statutory body, the Advertising Standards Council of India, that is ASCI. Now let me conclude the session. Friends, advertising plays an important role as it helps in creating primary demand for the product or services. The most interesting part of an advertisement is it carries factual information with fascinating emotional appeal. Hence, without a proper advertisement, no business can prosper. Understanding the process of advertising is keen importance. Friends, in this session, we have understood the key players in advertising and their role in the success of the advertisements. The advertiser, media, vendors, advertising agency, target audience, regulatory bodies play very important role in the success of advertising mechanism. Hope the session has enriched your knowledge on the key players of advertising and hope you like the session. Thank you.